everyone. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Jaclyn Issner, a clinical psychologist who specializes in promoting mental health in youth and young adults. I love the little kiddos. I do this work through my private practice, as well as my supervision and training of graduate student therapists. As clinical advisor for SIB4SIB, I'm so excited to be here tonight to represent this organization. SIB4SIB provides a safe space and community for siblings of individuals who struggle with mental health or who are neurodiverse. This organization was created and founded by Jessica Goldberg, who at the time was like 15 or 16. Anyway, she had searched for a group support system for herself, and she noticed that nothing really existed that fit her needs. So the central goal of this organization is to show siblings that they are not alone with their feelings and experiences. I'm thrilled to be doing this tonight in partnership with the amazing Farmington Community Library. So let's get to it. And I'm gonna share my screen in one moment. Here we go. Okay. Can everyone see it okay? Okay, so we're going to be talking about the importance of loving connections, coping skills, and communication, as well as a lot of other relevant topics, but particularly for school-age children. So we've had some snowstorms. So a lot of you have had kids home because of snow days. So if you held yourself together and somehow got yourself here tonight, I am very impressed and proud of you. This is hard with COVID and then with snowstorms and God knows what else. So another little reminder that you can love your kids so fiercely that you would take a bullet for them. And you can simultaneously feel overwhelmed by the challenging parts of parenting. We're human. We're allowed to feel both things. They're not mutually exclusive. So just remember to give yourself kindness and compassion. So let's talk first about what do youth need? And really not just youth, all of us. But we really, really need to help our kids feel loved, because kids really need to feel loved and a sense of belonging in order to feel secure. They need to feel good about who they are, strong self-esteem. They need to feel like they're good at something, whether it's at school or at sports. Having a sense of competence and mastery is really important. And then feel a sense of independence, some autonomy, some choice in their life, right? We tell them so many things. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. But they do need to feel like they're in control in some parts of their world. And sometimes we don't have to have magic words or magic techniques. Sometimes we just need to be there and let them know our presence is there with them and we support them. So connection is really the key to everything. And it doesn't have to be like long stretches of one-on-one time, but our effectiveness as parents is so tied to the strength of the bond that we have. Whether it's dance parties in your kitchen or playing board games or reading books together or just sitting together chit-chatting, any way that you can find some quality time to spend with your child, that pays off so much, because not only do you feel closer to your child and try to understand things from their point of view, but they will feel better, be able to behave better, all of these things, if they feel secure in the relationship with you. Okay, so this was funny. Like a month or so ago, my 8-year-old was playing at a friend's in the basement, and we were over there for dinner, and he came upstairs upset about what a kid had done. And I'm like, wow, that sounds hard. And like, I bet you'll be able to figure this out. He's like, Mom, you're the parent. Aren't you supposed to just fix things and make it better? He literally said that. I literally wrote it down right after because I'm like, this is perfect for the presentation. That's not our job. We're not the fixers. No, we're the guiders. We gotta help pave the way, but not do it for them, not fix things for them. So it's not, our lives are not about avoiding stress and negative emotions, but being able to be okay with uncertainty or not knowing what to do, addressing everyday challenges and learning how to adapt and become resilient. And our kids for sure have had to adapt and become resilient during this time of ups and downs during COVID. So they have needed our support, but we haven't been able to fix COVID. We haven't been able to fix things for them. And so they need to continue to learn how to handle this discomfort and be able to advocate for themselves and handle their emotions. When we see our kids upset or we feel upset, we have this urge to shut down the discomfort, just get it away, right? Remember that book? You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. It's true. That's how this works. So, as much as it would be cool if we could just avoid all these feelings and hardships, it's not what life's about. We have challenges, they're there for a reason. And in order to help children develop coping skills most effectively, they need to be exposed to moderate stress. High enough that they notice it, but low enough that they can handle it. So a little scaffolding. And learning to bounce back from, failures, challenges, whatever. Okay. So anxiety, we all feel anxiety and we all feel it for a reason. It's supposed to be there. It's evolutionarily adaptive. So let's say this lion was running at you and you're out in the forest and you just stand there and say, "Hey lion, what's up? I'm relaxed. Let's just chill." You're going to get really maybe attacked and you're in danger. So your body needs to go into fight or flight mode in order to protect yourself. You got to either get ready to fight or run so fast or hide, something like that. And so anxiety is there for a reason. It protects us and it also helps prepare us for hard things. If we didn't care at all about a test coming up, then we probably wouldn't study. If I didn't care about the presentation I was giving tonight, I probably would have put a lot less time into it. But I had anxiety, and that was helpful because it made me focus and feel like, okay, I can do this if I prepare and get my ducks in a row, So the problem is when we have too much anxiety and it freezes us, then we need to come up with ways to kind of get through the anxiety and use it more to our advantage. So when life puts you in tough situations, don't say, "Why me?" Say, "Just try me," because I got my adrenaline going, I got my fight or flight, and I am ready to take this on. Resilience. What's the point? Why are we parents? Just, what are we doing here? We're trying to help our kids be prepared for the future, right? So we want that. There's actually a book called How to Raise an Adult, okay? Not someone who needs you at college, not someone who needs you in their merit. We want them to become independent and able to handle challenges, but of course we still want them to call us and make sure that, they check in. But we want them to be headed in the direction of being able to think for themselves, be kind, be compassionate, treat others well, have a good moral compass, feel pride in what they do and what they're involved in and who they are, find purpose and meaning, value their abilities, enjoy their talents, right? How many of us have said, "I just want my kid to be happy"? I'm sure we all have. Yep, I see some hands. So that's an impossible goal, and we will fail. our kids can't just be happy all the time. All emotions are fleeting. There is no emotion that stays forever, which is good and bad. That means happiness can't stay forever, but that also means sadness cannot stay forever. They come and they go. And if your goal is for your kid to be happy all the time, then they end up feeling like they're doing something wrong if they're upset. And research shows that those the parents who put so much emphasis on just be happy, just find happiness, often those are the kids who emerge into adulthood and feel most empty inside because they feel like they're missing something because they're not feeling that happiness that has been talked about. So we need to learn how to deal with negative emotions and disappointments. All of us need to, but we can help our kids with this. And they need to find their internal voice. We can guide, explore, give open-ended questions, choices, discuss possible solutions, outcomes, but we can't live life for them. We want them to be themselves, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? Myself, right? We may have a vision of who we think they're going to become, but sometimes that can sabotage things because we miss who we have right in front of us. We want to nurture their growth. And whether they are all A's or great at tennis or great at basketball, it shouldn't matter. They need to feel that unconditional love, that the love you give them is there whether they succeed in things or not. This provides a sense of safety and ability to take more risks and know that it's okay if they make a mistake because love, it's not conditional. So we really want to have a strong bond. And praise is always nice, right? But it's even better when we use very specific praise. Sometimes I'll look at my kids and I'll be like, I love seeing your brain work. Like I can see the wheels turning and it's amazing. So it's like, I love how you used that strategy. I would have never thought of that. Honestly, my 8-year-old, he's doing math. Math these days is very different. And I'm like, how did you figure that out? And it's amazing. So even if they struggle, let's stick with the math problem, okay? This assignment was really hard, okay? We can reflect that back, that this was really tricky and frustrating. Wow, you didn't give up. You persevere. You're a kid who handles hard things. So back to that A+ thing, right? We don't need all A's, guys. Raising an A+ person is really more important, okay? So yes, getting all A's feels great and you feel successful, but it can actually end up being tied too much to feelings of self-worth. If you don't succeed, I'm not worthy. No one's going to love me if I'm not good at this. Oh my gosh, I am stupid because I wasn't able to accomplish I wasn't able to get the ACT score that I wanted. And so now, like, what's the point? Like, who's going to even like me? Our brains go in all these sorts of directions. So we want to focus more on helping to raise A+ people who have clear values, know who they are, what they stand for, what their task is while they journey through the world. It's not about just getting into college and going on and the first job out of college. That doesn't define you either. We evolve constantly. And we want our kids to enjoy learning, have continual learning, learn for the sake of learning, and not just to get the A. We want to put like deposits into our bank of experience so we can keep growing and become wise, and put kindness into our bank of goodness, because the kinder we are to others, the better they feel and the better we feel. So kindness, like science shows, it increases energy, serotonin, happiness. It decreases anxiety, stress, depression, amongst many other things. So when you're feeling maybe blue, or you notice your kids feeling kind of down, helping someone like calling a grandparent, checking in on them, volunteering somewhere, doing something where you know that you've made a difference to someone else, it feels incredible to everyone involved. So we want our kids to feel good about themselves, even if they have mistakes and failures, like I was talking about. So we want them to feel like you see them in this way, that they're this amazing human being. And kids, they have to learn to cope and solve problems. And then they'll be able to work harder and persevere over time. And sometimes when we're rushing out of the house, we just want to do things for them, right? Or, this math problem, well, all you do is this and that, and then you'll get the answer. Okay, well, quick, it's one thing, but does it help them in the long run? No. In the short term, it gives everyone a sense of relief, like, okay, it's done. But you're kind of sending the message that they can't handle it. And when we imply to kids that they can handle it, they step up and they usually handle it. Maybe they need some help, but they don't need you to do it completely for them, because that takes away their sense of ownership over what they were doing. And this is of a kid, a child becomes what I think you think I can. Does that make sense? Like, what you as a parent thinks they can handle really becomes a part of what they think they can handle. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a lot of ways. Okay, so again, to rescue or not rescue. Like the time with my 8-year-old, he wanted me to go down and have a talk with the kid who, threw a ball that got too close to his shoulder, whatever it was. I wanted me to go rescue and fix the situation. Well, we got to figure out, guys, whether to rescue or not rescue. And there may be times where we need to rescue. But what if we respond like, oh, some kids try this when that happens, others try that. I can't wait to see how you handle this. I believe you can handle this. We can talk about ideas. What are some of your ideas? I have some ideas. Okay. You've got a plan. And now they can walk away and be like, I got what it takes. I'm capable of solving this on my own. We also want to honor the fact that our kids want to have autonomy and choice. It's such a basic human emotional need. When you guys are bossed around and told what to do all the time, how irritating can it be? So they're told what to do all the time. So the more we can give them choices, the better, because here, it talks in this little thing about the less autonomy a child is given, the more they will try to assert control over any little thing they can hang on to. But the reverse is true. The more autonomy a child is given, the more easily they will be willing to, follow what needs to be done, because it doesn't threaten their sense of autonomy. And so we give choices. And often you want to give choices before you're seeing resistance from your kids. So it's like a preventative type of way of thinking. But you can still do it, once your kid's getting upset. Choices is always a good thing. But our kids do need and crave limits as well. So choices plus limits is a good combination. Problem solving. If kids feel like you're either smart or you're not, that can be detrimental, right? If we believe that something is a fixed characteristic, then it's like a learned helplessness, or I'm just going to give up because I'm not smart anyway, or I'm not good at basketball. Why should I even try? And there can be shame involved if they feel like they're not smart or they're not talented. So we want our kids to understand that effort is so much more important, because you can be the smartest person in the world, But if you do nothing with it and you don't learn how to handle the world, then okay, maybe you're a little book smart, but what does that get you? You need to be able to learn and grow your brain. So, better performance we see when children think that effort is the major determinant of success or failure. Like, there literally are studies where, like, one group is told that performance is based on effort, another group is told performance is based on intelligence. And those who believe that performance is based on effort, like we're in that group, they do better because they try harder. And so we want to praise our kids for improvement and effort as opposed to just, wow, you got another A. And so failure is nothing more than a chance to revise strategies and think through and again, grow our brains. We want to learn through effort and mistakes, like I've talked about. So one cool thing is to have your child teach you something. So this is in quotations like what a kid might say. You know, it feels good when you ask me to teach you about what I'm learning or what I'm good at. What's interesting is we are good at a lot of things because we've had a lot of experience. Kids are starting out with the first time they're doing this, the first time they're writing this type of assignment, the first time that they're tying their shoe, the first time that they are negotiating social ickiness on the playground, right? There's so many firsts. So they don't feel so confident right away, where it looks like things come so easy to us, right? Because we've had practice. So we want to help them see that this is normal, that at the beginning, something can be hard and maybe your comfort zone is really small, but the more effort, the more exposure you have to whatever this is, the more you grow and your comfort zone widens and your brain grows and you feel more confident. At the beginning, it makes sense when you're learning a new thing. Of course, it's scary. It doesn't feel good to not understand something, but helping them understand that that's part of the process. When we start, we're here. We don't know it yet. So of course we're going to get things wrong or not quite get it. But in order to get to the point of mastering something, we have to practice and get through that discomfort. So our kids are probably getting better at computer stuff than we are at this point. So, you know, letting them know that you want to learn from them, you know, like your kids saying, you know, I know computer programming and I have to be a beginner constantly, but let me teach you something now so that I can be the expert. Show me it's okay to stay relaxed and present when I'm struggling to learn something. Here are a few different ideas of growth mindset. You know, when you learn how to do a new kind of problem, it grows your math brain. If you catch yourself saying, I'm not a math person, just add the word yet. I'm not a great soccer player yet. I'm not understanding this writing assignment yet. It's hard stuff though, right? They're constantly learning new things. So we want to help them get more comfortable with this growing sense, where even though it's not always comfortable. A lot goes into being successful at something. It's not just, oh, you're intelligent, you're going to be successful. It takes failure. We learn from our mistakes, persistence, dedication. So helping them realize that hard work is necessary to achieve goals that we have. And whether or not we achieve certain goals doesn't mean we're worthy or unworthy as a person. No matter what, we're on this planet. There's a reason we're here. We are finding purpose. But in order to accomplish certain goals, you have to put in the work and be okay with sacrificing and failing and picking yourself up again. Okay, so I bet even just during these snow days that you guys have had, or other days where, you know, your kids have been home because of virtual stuff, there are a lot of feelings and moods going on in our households. We feel a lot of feelings. Our moods all over the place. Like last night, I was losing it, guys. I don't know about you guys. I was ready to have my own breakdown. But should I be ashamed of that? No. I'm human and there's so many things I need to get done and do work, and the kids are home, and how am I supposed to do it all, right? So it's same with them. We don't want to shame them for feeling overwhelmed or feeling moody or having a certain feeling in general. And we don't want to engage. Let's say they're angry and they're like yelling at us. We don't want to engage and get sucked in and have things escalate and then say things out of anger that aren't necessarily true, but that they may internalize. Our words are so powerful. They become a part of our child's internal dialogue, their narrative about themselves. So when your child's in a mood, saying, "What's the matter with you?" It's like, "Oh my God, there's something wrong with me," right? "What were you thinking?" "Oh, I make bad decisions." This is how things get internalized. When you guys are in a mood, if someone says snap out of it, do you snap out of it or do you get kind of pissed off? I get a little annoyed. I think you guys probably do too. It's not that easy. We have to go through. Again, got to go through the feeling. And we can disapprove of behaviors. Like you can be angry, but no, you cannot hit me. You can be angry, but no, you cannot destroy the wall in your room by kicking it down, punch a pillow instead, something that's not going to cause harm. We do need to have limits. We need to problem solve together. But we always need to remember that the way they feel is valid. And you can't tell someone, no, you don't feel sad, because we're not in their bodies. We're not in their minds. So how they feel is how they feel. So we can acknowledge that anger, worry, hurt, sadness, and say things like, "That sounds tough. You were disappointed. What were you thinking of doing about it? What are your thoughts? That really stinks. That would upset me too." How much do we sometimes have the urge to call the teacher or call the coach when we want something different for our kids? Something happens at school that you feel like is kind of not so great and you didn't like how the teacher handled it. Sometimes we jump too quickly to calling and trying to fix it. Because again, we want to help our kids learn to tolerate personalities that aren't our favorite, different ways of teaching, different environments. And yes, there are times where we need to call, of course, but really try to pause and think, how can I help my kid figure this out without me stepping in? Okay, now back to the moodiness and frustration. These are things kids might think or say. You need to just let this happen, but don't let me be rude to you. So like, I remember when I was a teen, I would sometimes tell my mom, I just need to be in a bad mood. Like I can't snap out of it and just let me be angry. And she was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with that," because it was like foreign. Like, no, just snap out of it. This is uncomfortable for me, the parent, to see you like this. So can you please just feel better so we can all feel better? Sometimes we need to just go with the waves of the emotions. And maybe there's something that's really getting at them that's causing the mood, but they might not be ready to talk about it. So having kind of an open door policy that, whenever you're ready, or maybe you hang around them doing other things, but you're nearby so that if they feel comfortable, they can then start talking. Maybe you're cleaning up the kitchen while they're doing a little homework or having some screen time or whatever it is. They may start randomly. My kids will just open up about what happened during the day. If I ask them when they come home from school, how was your day? I don't get much. But if I'm just around and something comes to their mind they want to talk about, that's when I get more, when it's them deciding to tell me about what happened. And often bedtime's a really good time to reflect on the day and talk about, the highs and lows of the day. And you can do it yourself too, so that they know that you have highs and lows too, and that that's normal. So hanging out with them, even when they're being kind of hard to be around, but being near them, it's really helpful. Modeling. So, hold on, I need a sip of water. Our kids learn from us. They absorb so much, and children live what they learn, right? So if we constantly yell and scream and use certain language, and we, call ourselves bad names out loud, they pick up on that stuff and then they do it to themselves. So we want to be able to talk out loud when we're frustrated, to show it's okay to have emotions, but then also say out loud, like, what you're going to do to calm down. So some things could be like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I think I need to pause and take a few breaths. Or I need to walk out of the room for a minute, guys, because I'm feeling stressed. That's not anything that you guys aren't in charge of my feelings. I'm in charge of my feelings. So I'm going to go handle my feelings and then come back so that I can be a better mom. Mess up on purpose, or when you mess up, make a thing of it, show that we make mistakes, because we do, right? If I'm cooking something, oh my God. Be able to say that you messed up and that you're frustrated, but then kind of sometimes literally I'll talk out loud to myself. I'll be like, it's okay, Jackie, you can handle this. It's okay to make mistakes. Let me think through this. And I'll do it partly because it does help me to talk to myself out loud, but also because I want them to hear how I'm talking myself through it. I'm so mad. You can say that. I'm allowed to be angry. How can I get this mad out of my body? I feel like I need to run around or do push-ups or squeeze my hands together. Got to get this anger out of my body. Got to punch a pillow. I got to do some boxing. But helping them see that there are different ways to handle these feelings. And saying things like, I can handle this out loud. I say things like that all the time. I can handle this. This is really hard. I can do this. I can do this. And then they pick up on things too. So my kids, they crack me up, but they'll say, Mom, I think you need to take a deep breath. And then I'm like, good, you're realizing that we all need that sometimes. And you're picking up on the fact that deep breaths might be helpful. That's great. My 8-year-old has said before, he was teaching me how to do these really complicated rainbow loom. I don't know if any of you guys know about those bracelets and keychains, whatever. He was trying to teach me a really complicated rainbow loom pattern. And I really legit was getting so frustrated. I'm like, I need to walk away for a minute. But later we were talking about it. He's like, I know, Mom, it's hard, but it's worth it at the end of the day. I'm like, that's so cute. And he has said to his little brother, when his little brother has been scared to go and actually play at his little flag football, he'll go, but he's too scared to play, my little almost 5-year-old. And my son, my 8-year-old, was trying to kind of pump him up and be like, it's okay. You got to make your comfort zone bigger by doing it and pushing through the fear. Dude, you got to write a book, man. So, not all kids are going to say these magic words, but when they do, maybe write them down, keep track of it. It's really pretty cool stuff that comes out of our kids' mouths. And speaking of what comes out of their mouths, we need to hear it and listen to it. Not just kind of hear it. Sometimes they're talking about things where, yes, you just nod and you kind of pretend oh yeah, I'm really interested in that random Pokemon card that you keep showing me. But when it's important, you don't want to fake it. You want to really listen. How does it feel when you are listened to? Really take a moment to think about when you have a conversation, perhaps with a certain friend, What does a friend do that makes you feel heard and makes you feel seen? Their nonverbals, their eye contact, they're reflecting what you're saying. They're there. They're in your space with you, holding space for whatever you need to talk about. And being heard is so close to being and feeling loved that sometimes they're almost indistinguishable. When we feel seen, we feel loved. When we feel heard, we feel understood. Okay, so empathic listening. I'm going to go into it a little bit more, but here's, dismissive listening is, well, what if you just try this? Or don't be upset. It could be so much worse, right? I'm listening. What did that make you feel like? I'm here. That sounds really heavy and hard. So just a little, review for some of you about active listening. We want to have empathic active listening, which shows that we are able to reflect their feelings and help them feel heard and seen, like I've said so many times. We want to create a safe and accepting atmosphere. And so distress, Dr. Becky, I've mentioned her in my past presentations, and check her out, she's cool. But she defines distress as, a really hard feeling, plus feeling alone in your feeling. That's when it's worse. When you feel like no one understands, like yesterday, I was feeling distressed because I just felt so alone in my feeling. And I talked to my mom, and she actually did some really good listening. And because we still need, hopefully our kids will still need us later too. Just like, I needed my mom for a minute yesterday. And remember that when we provide support, rather than just jumping in with a solution, we remove the aloneness from the equation. So now we just have to deal with the feeling. And we can do that. We can handle that if we're together, connected. But just being there is so important, and collaborating, not solving the problem for them, but with them, empower them. Don't just reassure them, oh, everything's going to be fine, because then it feels dismissive. And active empathizing is just more effective than reassurance. I know you're feeling helpless, and I can only guess how miserable that must feel, rather than, it will be fine. You've done this before. But if you say, oh, you're pretty scared about this. I remember something similar happened in the past. You were able to do that. Do you remember that? That was really cool. I wonder, what did you do last time to help get through it? Okay. And then maybe they can start saying, oh, maybe I could do it. Maybe I can handle it in a similar way as before. Okay, so now a little bit about love and logic. It's practical parenting for kids. There's one for teens, there's lots. So basically, there's a lot about providing consequences, or lecturing or giving guidance in the most warm, empathic way, so that our kids can actually hear us. So let's say our kid really screwed up, and they're really upset now, you're really upset now, and you start lecturing them that they should have known better, and you told them not to fight with each other a million times, and now they went and they hurt each other, and don't they want to just, figure this out, guys. Just figure out how to play together nicely, whatever it is, Well, that makes them feel kind of ashamed and like resentful and like just mad at us. But if we can deliver consequences or like a lesson when our kids are calmer and feel seen, they hear it so much more clearly. So when we're really upset, again, we get in that fight or flight mode. The adrenaline's going, and we can't see clearly. And our brain is all over the place, and we're in emotion mind. That's one way to call it. Emotion mine, overwhelmed mind. And it's really hard to hear anyone clearly during that. So we want to help kind of pause and come back to talking about consequences or lessons when they're able to hear you. And sometimes empathy can turn the reasoning brain on. So, like, I know you guys really wanted to play this game. It's hard to take turns. Mhm. Okay, let's come up with a rule for this or a strategy so that we make sure that you get a turn playing the video game and then you get a turn, whatever it is. Okay. So we want to make sure that we're talking when they can hear us. Okay. Mental health. It was already, not so great before COVID hit. Rates were rising for teenagers and for kids and for parents. They were already on the rise, right? Especially for youth. Well, now because of COVID, we see even more jumps in numbers. There's definitely a crisis here, and we can help with some prevention and understanding things like anxiety better so that we can handle things with our kids or get them the help they need earlier on. So like I said, everyone feels anxiety sometimes. It's like a continuum, right? You want to feel kind of the right amount. Once you feel way too much all the time and it's like distracting you from being able to function in your life, that's when it's like, ooh, we got to maybe think about what to do here. And the cool thing is anxiety is the number one mental health problem that is not, that part's not cool. That's the number one mental health problem for kids and teens today, but it's the most treatable. It's the most treatable. So, if you feel like you need to reach out to a mental health provider or your doctor or get some self-help books, there are great worksheets online you can do with your kids. I have this book, you can order these types of resources. This is called Sometimes I'm Anxious, a child's guide to overcoming anxiety. There's so much out there that you can use and help your kids with their anxiety. So anxiety, this is another Dr. Becky equation. It's uncertainty plus the underestimation of our ability to cope, like the belief that we can't handle whatever's coming our way. So we don't know what's going to come our way, and that sucks, but we can't see the future. But we can let ourselves know and our kids know that whatever happens, we're going to figure it out and we're going to handle it. We got this. We have each other's back, we're a team, this family. And when kids are scared, it's worse when they're feeling alone in their fears. So just again, connecting, spreading your calmness, being there, and acknowledging that something doesn't feel good. What does it feel like for you? And then there can be things you can do, like find a calm down space or just to change a scenery. Mantras, I can do hard things. Talk to the worry. Sometimes we have to say, oh, Mr. Worry, just leave me alone because I know I can actually handle this. You were trying to psych me out, but I got this. So here are some different signs of anxiety. We've got concentration problems, memory problems, problem-solving difficulties, worry. We've got some behavioral and physical stuff too. So we've got restlessness, fidgeting, irritability. We all relate to that one. Perfectionism, lack of participation in things, kind of withdrawing, failing to complete tasks. But the thing about anxiety, it's so physical because of that fight or flight thing. Your body, it sometimes feels like it's being taken over by something. So, your kids might say in the morning that they have a stomach ache. They may be worried for something at school. They do have a stomach ache. They do. It's anxiety that's causing it most often. I mean, we don't always know, like maybe something they ate, but their symptoms are real and difficult. But the more we can work on the anxiety, the more we can calm down some of those symptoms or just get better at handling those symptoms. So sometimes rapid heart rate, flushing of the skin, getting so hot and sweaty, headaches, muscle tension, trouble sleeping, sometimes nausea, feeling dizzy. Some people feel like they're kind of like floating away. There's so many interesting physical symptoms that come with anxiety. So again, remember, it's normal to have anxiety. It is normal. But if you're worried and your child's fears or constant worrying is beginning to interfere with their ability to participate in school, family, or social activities, and it's just so severe and can feel debilitating, so reach out. Reach out to a professional because, like I said before, anxiety is one of the very most treatable disorders, so to speak. Here are some different types of anxiety. There's separation anxiety, like, no, mom, don't leave me. There's having extreme fears about a specific thing, like dogs or bees, going to the doctor. So those are phobias. Social anxiety, being very afraid of school or other places where, like, they're afraid of being judged, or they don't really know people, or they just get like that jittery feeling and don't feel like they can be their best self and engage with people. There can be just this generalized anxiety where we're worried about the future and about so many different potential bad things happening. Panic disorder is one that's really physical, but it's having repeated episodes of sudden, like, unexpected, intense fear that comes with racing heart, trouble breathing, feeling dizzy, shaky, sweaty, and it's like really extreme. And it's one of those things where you have to ride it out. You have to ride it out. And anxiety can also, hold on, what did I have here? Anxiety may present as fear or worry, but it doesn't have to present in that way. Sometimes it presents as irritability or anger. So there could be trouble sleeping, like I said, or other physical symptoms. So sometimes it's like being a detective and figuring out what's causing what, and not taking everything just at face value, but trying to figure out, what's my kid experiencing and how can I make sure I'm not missing something? What's the need behind the behaviors and feelings? What does this child need? And here are some fun things that you can do to help calm, your kid's anxiety or your anxiety. Sometimes you can do visual imagery. I'll have kids think of their favorite place, or like some sort of scene that they've had in the past where they just felt calm and thankful, grateful, at peace. So you imagine your favorite place while taking some deep breaths, and you just kind of picture it, or you kind of get to like take a mini vacation in your head. Some kids, sometimes it may be looking at pictures, like, you always have your phone around. And so maybe it's pulling out, oh, that trip was your favorite thing that we ever did. Okay, let me find the picture. Oh, look at us having fun. Oh my God. Remember what it was like when we were back there and you jumped into the pool, made the biggest splash, things like that. Music is so helpful. Think about like when you turn on music, you just, it depends on the type of music, but when you turn on music, you just kind of groove and your body does tend to relax, or it's like so high paced that you can get out some of your nervous energy. So, think of favorite things, but songs are great to play. Name animals alphabetically. Just, you want to, that sounds really random out of context, but what I'm trying to say is give your brain a place to go that's neutral, because then it's a lot harder for you to keep thinking about the things you're worried about. Your brain shifts to something just very mundane, and that is helpful. So, and with you can use your 5 senses too, as you can see on the side here. You can do a game called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, where first you name 5 things that you see. Okay. So you just look around, and you can do it, and your kid can do it. You name 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. But you can vary it up and do just 1 sense, or, not do those exact numbers, just do 1 of each, whatever. But again, it's helping you stay grounded and notice your surroundings and get a little bit more present. Other things, sometimes you just need like a cold drink of water, a splash on the face, something to kind of change your senses. Sometimes when I'm feeling overwhelmed or something, I'll like open the door even in the winter just to like get that breath of fresh air, that crisp air, and it kind of shocks your system a little bit. That can be helpful. Deep breathing is so helpful. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which needs to come on in order to kind of get that sympathetic nervous system to calm down and shut down. So when the sympathetic nervous system comes and activates, that's when we're in that fight or flight mode, so stressed. But every time we're taking a deep breath, we're activating the calming part of our nervous system, and we need to find that calm. And deep breaths, they're powerful if you take it seriously and you do more than just like two, and you do them really slowly. And you can have mantras in your mind while you're breathing, or just mantras in general, like I can handle it. There's different apps and meditations and mindfulness things for kids in particular. There's the one called Sitting Still Like a Frog. And if you click on it on this little bolded area, then you get to like hear the guided soundtrack, and it can be very calming. Okay, so more about coping with anxiety and with other symptoms too, not just anxiety. Thoughts are not facts, but feelings are real facts. Okay, so we talked about that, but it's just worth mentioning again. Help them maybe start to stand up to their bullying thoughts. We have that voice in our head that's like a bully trying to ruin our fun, talking us into thinking we're not good enough. So empower them to stand up to that bully. Take away the bully's power. Think of more helpful thoughts instead. Okay. But speaking of bullying, we're going to just touch on bullying because I know some people wanted to talk about this because this is no fun for anyone. Bullying is a repeated, purposeful abuse of power meant to cause harm to another person. And it's harder these days because we also have social media. So before, bullying was mostly at school, and then you could go home and kind of feel at peace. But now they can come home and they may be getting messages from God knows who. I don't know, what ages you guys introduce them to different apps, but certain apps bring some not so nice comments from some people. And so it's really tricky. So here are some techniques. Again, bullying is really hard, and often we want the school to just like have a certain atmosphere that cultivates kindness and empathy. But we can't get in there and change the entire school culture. But what we can do is help our kids to think ahead of time of what they can do or say next time the bully says or does something mean. Because when the bully talks or does whatever it is that the kid is upset about, that turns again on that like emotion mind where it's really hard for them to think clearly. So come up with some short to the point statements to like interrupt the bullying. Okay, dude, cut it out. That's not cool. Hey, that's over the line. Lay off. There's no point. Little things like that to just be able to pop out of your mouth. You can practice, you can role play. You can change the subject. You can randomly say, okay, guys, like turn to someone else who's around. Like, when's that math test again? Or how's your March Madness bracket going? Or did anyone see the certain show last night? Like changing the subject if possible. Using humor, tell a joke, do something funny, go and, I don't know, something funny. It's hard. It's hard, guys. But coming up with things ahead of time can be helpful. But sometimes these are times when parents do need to get involved at points. So I've talked so much through this about how we want to kind of lay off and let our kids figure out things for themselves. But if bullying is really serious, this is one of the times where we do step in. We need to. because this can be really hard for mental health, and kids can really start to feel worthless and get withdrawn. So hold on. There are some other things too. So those of you who don't have kids who are being bullied, but you have kids in school, help them become upstanders. Help them show support to someone who is being bullied. This helps the culture of the classroom, of the school, and helps the kid who's being bullied feel less alone. So just going over and standing close to the bully and talking to your kid about, just walking over there. You may not have anything that you feel like you can say in that moment, but just go stand by him so he doesn't feel alone. Or reach out after the fact. Let your friend who was bullied know, like, that wasn't cool, and I'm really sorry that happened, and do you want to sit together on the bus ride home? Whatever it is. Express sympathy, get help. So again, bullying is about making a person feel isolated and alone. So many kids believe that their life will get worse if they tell an adult that they're being bullied. Like they're worried they'll be that tattletale, or things could get just escalated if they bring adults into the situation. But one thing that the upstanders or bystanders can do is maybe be the one to bring the attention to an adult, because adults, if things are getting really bad, adults need to help. They do need to intervene, and you can help your kid be that bystander who doesn't just stand by, but stands up and helps. Okay, so I could go on forever, and I have a million slides, that I would love to show you, but I think we've covered a lot today. And so that is what I have to share with you at the moment, but I'm just so grateful that you're all here, that you showed up, and I'm thankful that we got to spend this evening together.